Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we're going over chapter 5 of Boruto Two Blue Vortex. This chapter was very good and probably my favorite chapter of this new series so far. It was a great final chapter as well for ending the year of 2023. A lot of questions were answered this chapter and several new questions and plot points have emerged. We have a decent amount of content to get into, so with that being said, let's get started. So we open up the chapter not in present day, but 2 years before the events of Code's invasion on the Hidden Leaf Village. We see a younger Boruto finishing his sword training. It was very obvious that Boruto started using a sword under Sasuke's influence. What's interesting though is Boruto's design. His hair is a bit longer than we have seen in present day and is shown in a similar style to Sasuke's. Sasuke's hair covers the section of his face where his Rinnegan used to be. A method he used to conserve chakra originally is now a method used to hide his blind spot. Boruto uses a similar method to cover up his current scar as well. It's subtle, but perhaps he grew ashamed of his scar because it was a constant reminder of him losing not only his brother, but his old life as well. Something we eventually see him grow past in this chapter. Boruto's appearance also confirms that he had a replica of Sasuke's cape rather than borrowing Sasuke's actual cape. Who knows how Boruto was able to obtain it, but perhaps Sasuke had spare capes that he sealed away and simply allowed Boruto to have one. Boruto is also shown with his own sword, which is cool to say the least. After training, Boruto and Sasuke spent the rest of the day relaxing. We get to see a small window of what Boruto's relationship with Sasuke was like in a post-omnipotence world. Boruto looks so much happier during this time period than he does in present day. He reminds me a lot of the version of Boruto we saw at the end of chapter 80, very optimistic and determined to make a difference. It is easy to see that moments like this allow Boruto to feel some semblance of his old life, since Sasuke and Boruto pre-omnipotence often had moments to talk to each other as well. This probably also led to Sasuke trusting Boruto again. We have to recall that Kawaki and Sasuke were basically strangers in a pre-omnipotence world, and basically had no relationship. Sasuke likely made parallels between the person he sees currently and the student he used to know. Sasuke in a way was like a second father to Boruto. Despite losing his parents, having Sasuke around likely gave Boruto a sense of comfort and security. Boruto proceeds to ask Sasuke to teach him more techniques, and Sasuke then explains that over the course of a year that he was able to teach Boruto most of his techniques. This is really exciting information because Boruto can leverage a lot of techniques that Sasuke utilized throughout Shippuden. Boruto should be able to use several Chidori variants such as Kirin, Chidori Stream, and Chidori Senbon. It's possible Boruto can even use Chidori to an extent where it runs through his sword. He likely also has a snake summoning contract as well, so it's possible Boruto can summon Aota, or maybe he gained a summoning contract with Gadaga from the anime. Of course, Boruto lacking the Sharingan and the affinity for the fire nature change blocked him from learning the rest of Sasuke's abilities. But it's still impressive that he learned so much in such a short time. I think I see what Kishimoto is doing. He's giving Boruto and Sarada something that the other one lacks. Boruto adopted Sasuke's personal skill, while Sarada gained Sasuke's Uchiha lineage and power as a birthright. I'm not surprised that Boruto and Sasuke covered a lot of ground considering that they're both respective geniuses from their particular generations. Sasuke then goes on to explain that Boruto's training is not yet complete, and gives Boruto the best advice possible. Just because Sasuke had nothing left to teach him personally doesn't mean Boruto is at the level he needs to be. He tells Boruto to always better himself and put his responsibility on Boruto to perfect his own skills even further and continue to grow mentally and physically. These words set the stage for Boruto surpassing Code and likely Kawaki in present day. As teacher and student continued their journey in isolation, Sasuke proceeds to tell Boruto he is just like Naruto, which is a nice callback to chapter 80, where Sasuke stated that if Boruto claimed to be the true son of Naruto, he would need to overcome his tragic fate like Naruto once did. Whether Boruto is the true son to Naruto or not is irrelevant to Sasuke at this point because Boruto has proven himself to be an honorable individual and someone who has earned Sasuke's trust and respect, despite Sasuke's contradicting memories. Sasuke also repeated what he said in chapter 80, that it was only because of Sarada that he was there to help Boruto. But unlike back then, he clearly states that he understands why Sarada was so desperate to save him. So it's good to know he realized his daughter was correct, because that was his biggest concern in chapter 80 on whether he was making a huge mistake or not. Although it was not stated in the chapter, Sasuke likely learned that Naruto was still alive, which is why he states that something sinister is at play and that Boruto and Sarada are the keys to stopping it. We jump a little bit forward in time as we see Code has received his infamous scar. Based on Boruto's threats to Code in the earlier chapters, we assumed it was Boruto who did this to him, but we soon learned that is not the case and it was in fact Sasuke. I have to say, this is pretty cool. It's truly impressive that Sasuke, despite being weaker than Limitless Code, managed to damage him like this. Damon himself even stated that Code was stronger than the current Naruto and Sasuke back in part 1 of the series. But we also have to keep in mind that Code is a very arrogant character and likely underestimated the tactics of a shinobi like Sasuke. Just because Sasuke lacked the power to stop him doesn't mean he's a pushover either. If you give Sasuke an opening, he's going to take it. Code didn't take Sasuke seriously and now has to live with a permanent reminder of that fact. Sasuke and Boruto also have intel on Code's claw marks and how they work. This likely prolonged the fight as well. What likely threw them off was the arrival of the claw grimes. Since Ada was distracted by Kawaki pre-omnipotence, she never had the opportunity to warn Boruto about them. It also appears that Boruto participated in the fight as well, which explains why Code associated the vanishing Rasengan with Boruto rather than Kawaki in Blue Vortex Chapter 3. What makes this even more evident is the fact that he's holding a broken sword. Once again, Boruto is not using his karma. Since this is a life or death situation, you would think he would take any advantage possible, but neither the karma nor Momoshiki make an appearance. So now we know something is up with Boruto, but I'm surprised that even this early on in the timeline, he is not using his karma seal. Sasuke quickly deduces that even though they're working together, that they are no match for Code. Sasuke tells Boruto he'll buy him some time, but Boruto needs to run and live to fight another day. Boruto is completely against this idea and doesn't want to abandon Sasuke, but Sasuke is correct. Code is at this point in the story is stronger than Jigen, someone that 6-path Sage Mode Naruto and Sasuke with his Rinnegan couldn't defeat. So why would Sasuke with a weaker internal Mangekyo Sharingan stand a chance? Boruto was reluctant, but decided to obey Sasuke's order and left the scene. This makes a lot more sense on why Boruto ran away. It seemed out of character he would run away just because he was afraid to fight Code. But now we got the full context because Boruto was never afraid to fight Code in part 1. What makes this even more tragic is the fact that Sasuke, if he still had his Rinnegan or if Boruto used his Karma Space-Time Ninjutsu, they could have gotten away. But obviously both of those options were not available to either character. Sasuke tells Boruto to run and survive and that he reminds Boruto to also take the power into his hands, that he needs to use everything he has learned and craft his own abilities as a shinobi. Sasuke knew that once Boruto accomplished this, a lot of opponents would not be able to stand a chance against him. Sasuke telling Boruto to survive reminded me of chapter 2 of Blue Vortex, where Boruto said to Sarada the same thing. Seeing Sarada likely brought back these memories. Sasuke's final words in the chapter are very impactful. He tells Boruto, "I'll leave Sarada to you." I'm not gonna lie, it got a little emotional, especially since this moment also reminded me of the time Itachi entrusted saving Sasuke to Naruto. Itachi and Naruto, just like Sasuke and Boruto are currently, were strangers until they finally got to understand one another and became comrades, even though it was only for a brief time. What an amazing callback. Now this is how you write out a character in a series respectfully. Sasuke charges Code and the claw grinds with no fear, and even knowing he's not going to win, but despite that, he's going to take out as many foes as possible until his time is up. Sasuke does not go out on a whimper. He doesn't get surprise attacked. He fully knows what he's walking into and he doesn't care. It takes a brave soul to do what Sasuke did, because many others would have ran away in his position. Boruto returns to see the aftermath of the battle. Sasuke managed to take out 7 claw grinds before getting bitten by an 8th one. Code likely didn't kill him because he either thought Sasuke was already dead or he figured that this was a fate worse than death and just let him go. After all, Boruto was his #1 target. Boruto then proceeds to take Sasuke's sword. To me, this is Kishimoto's way of symbolically passing the torch. This is the very moment in which Boruto became the Shadow Hokage. He's going to continue the fight Sasuke started. He doesn't have a look of sorrow. He doesn't have a look of fear. He glares with determination. He's going to make a difference no matter what. Sasuke didn't throw away his freedom for nothing, and Boruto is going to make sure of that. This is where we transition to the current Boruto. His transformation is complete, and he's ready to face whatever problems come his way. We don't know how he met Kashin Koji, nor do we know his resolution with Momoshiki, but these are topics for another time. We cut to the next scene where we see Ino Shikacho staring at a tree. This time, it contains Moegi. So it's 100% confirmed that Moegi was the basis for the female Shinju that we saw last chapter. Team 10 currently has to live with the same pain as Boruto does since they lost their sensei recently as well. Konohamaru also gets to witness this, and his face says it all. Ikimoto did a great job drawing his expression because you can see he wants to say everything without him saying anything at all. Konohamaru had lost several loved ones throughout his life already. I mean, he did lose his grandfather by being assassinated, and he lost his uncle in the line of duty. Moegi is someone he literally grew up with, someone who has been around him since the very beginning of his life. Whether he had romantic feelings for her or not is beyond the point. It pains him to see his close friend in a state like this. I can only imagine how these four characters will feel when they see the Shinju version of Moegi fighting against them and the Hidden Leaf Village. Interestingly enough, the next scene shows Shinju Moegi actually feeling the same pain as Team 10 and Konohamaru. So the Shinju can feel the pain of whoever their original counterparts were close to, and like I theorized, I believe this will be the Shinju's downfall. Regardless of the abilities they have stolen, they also have to deal with the psychological consequences of their host. The leader Shinju points out that the rest of them don't feel this way, and that despite coming from the same source, the forms they selected have permanently distinguished them. And I believe this will lead to internal conflict in the future because they are starting to have variations in how they feel. The Shinju have a lot of parallels to Majin Buu from the Dragon Ball series. When Buu absorbed certain characters, he became an entirely different person, and in one case he even spared a character's life due to the original host being loving of that person. I suspect something similar to like that will happen in Boruto. The leader Shinju states once again that its primary goal is to eat either Boruto or Kawaki and cause a divine tree to emerge. But the leader Shinju also has someone else in mind it wants to eat, and that's Naruto Uzumaki. Shinju Bug is completely confused by this. Why on earth would the leader Shinju want to eat Naruto? It's not like Naruto is an Otsutsuki and there's no real benefit in doing so. The Shinju shouldn't even know Naruto is alive. It's likely they do because of Shinju's Sasuke. He should have access to all of Sasuke's actual memories, and if that's the case, then he would have known that Boruto told the actual Sasuke that Naruto was still alive and trapped in the Daikoku-ten dimension. Not only that, but the Shinju know about Naruto through reputation because Sasuke and Moegi have personal memories with Naruto. These are two characters who respect and look up to Naruto. So the leader Shinju is likely fascinated with the idea of Naruto and how he was able to cause so many people to believe in him throughout the world. He likely wants the other Shinju to have a similar admiration for him. We then get to see Ada watching the events unfold. Even she is taken aback by the Shinju wanting to eat Naruto of all people. At this point, Ada is a fan like us, reading the manga every month like we do. But even Ada is not safe from the grasp of the Shinju, as Shinju Bug not only detects her watching, but is able to telepathically communicate with her as well, which completely catches Ada off guard. Shinju Bug then declares that his target is now Ada. I suspect he chose her because the original Bug was under the attract version of omnipotence, and through artificial feelings became infatuated with her. Truly a crazy moment, and Ada is completely disgusted after what she witnesses. So now the Shinju know about the Sharingan, so a major benefit of the Hidden Leaf is now gone. Shinju Moegi wants to eat Konohamaru, which isn't much of a shock. I think this is because keeping Konohamaru around is a weakness to her. So long as Konohamaru exists, she can give in to Moegi's original feelings, but that's just my take on it. The leader Shinju then states her official name, Matsuri. So they already are starting to distinguish themselves from their original counterparts, which is good for me since I don't have to say Shinju as often. Shinju Sasuke then proceeds to state the leader's name, and so we learn the leader's name is Jura, and he asks Jura what exactly are they. Jura then states to Hidari, which is Shinju Sasuke's new name, is that it's whatever their instincts reveal about them and not to really worry about it as much. Hidari then declares that he wants to eat Sarada, and this makes sense considering that this is the person Sasuke loves the most. So long as Sarada exists, Hidari cannot escape from the will of Sasuke and become his own individual. We all know that Sarada and Hidari will come face to face with each other. I think this will be the time where Sarada will first show off her Mangekyo abilities, and I'm pretty hyped about that. Cut to the next scene as we finally see Amado making his debut in part 2 of the series. Appearance-wise, he looks exactly the same. I'm honestly surprised Shikamaru did not throw him in jail for returning Ishiki's Karma Seal to Boruto, which in turn led to the death of the 7th Hokage. This whole scene was very fascinating because once again, Amado reveals some truth, but you still can't help but to question him. He claims his memory has been altered, and it's very likely he is telling the truth, but somehow he still makes me question this because of how shady he has been throughout part 1. I think Sumire decided to keep tabs on him once again to make sure he doesn't sabotage any ninja tech and also to see if there's more to what he knows. Sumire brings up some valid points to Amado. Boruto is someone who is in Kawaki's position and someone Amado hasn't seen in almost 3 years. She also questions why Amado didn't make an effort to reach out to Boruto. He could have at least sent Delta to track him down, yet he does nothing even after Boruto returned to fight Code. He is very nonchalant about all of it. Sumire even points out he doesn't even seem to care, and this raised a lot of red flags. Amado then proves a point about the weakness of Kawaki's variation of omnipotence, and that's evidence. I knew he would be one of the keys to proving that Kawaki is not the person everyone thinks he is. Amado knows there is more at play here. 1. Why does Kawaki, who is the biological son of Naruto, all of a sudden have ninja tech? 2. Since he has ninja tech, why are there no records of when he received that ninja tech or who gave it to him? And 3. Amado knows his own technology. He has no recollection of giving this tech to Kawaki, but Kawaki just happens to have something that Amado only could have made. And finally, Amado knows for sure that Kawaki is being deceptive because why does he have Akabe's DNA on his Karma Seal? It makes no sense if he's Momoshiki's vessel. Fortunately, Amado was being watched, and I think he knows he was being watched, and that's why he speaks so casually to Sumire about this. Now Shikamaru is suspicious of everything, and I'm glad because it's very frustrating seeing him work with Kawaki after seeing him in the past few chapters. Kawaki is not as smart as he thinks he is. We cut to another scene with Sumire and Sarada once again talking about omnipotence. Despite there being evidence of things such as pictures showing Boruto with his family, people still insist Kawaki is the true son of Naruto. The thing that's bothered me since chapter 1 is why didn't Sarada or Sumire just tell Shikamaru straight up that Ada accidentally casted omnipotence and Kawaki took advantage of the situation. This is a world where people can turn themselves into inanimate objects, summon talking animals from other dimensions, and deals with aliens invading their planet on a regular basis. It isn't too far of a stretch to believe people's memories can be overridden by someone with who has weird powers. Sarada still holds on to hope because she knew her father was under omnipotence, but even so, he went along with saving Boruto's life anyway, due to her request. What I suspect Sarada didn't know was that Sasuke's evidence was the emergence of his daughter's Mangekyo Sharingan, and that's what planted the seeds to make him start to question things, because the Mangekyo Sharingan can only be awakened through genuine emotion. But before Sarada can finish talking, Boruto finishes her line for her, that Sasuke risked his life to save him and that Sasuke grew to believe in him only thanks to Sarada. Sarada's face when she sees Boruto, man, the feels. She missed her dear friend so much. like something was always missing from her life and now she feels whole again now that he's back. Sarada wastes no time and completely embraces Boruto, and it's such a touching moment, and it's my favorite moment in this chapter. These two characters have been through so much, and the last 3 years have been difficult to say the least. Sumire doesn't have the same reaction as Sarada. She doesn't even look a little bit shocked. The way she's drawn, she looks almost jealous of their bond. So maybe Kishimoto is implying that their feelings for Boruto counteracted the Shinjutsu omnipotence. The only thing these two girls have in common is that they both like Boruto, as stated in part 1. Sumire just happens to be more self-aware of those feelings because she admitted it to Sarada's face back in the day. Sarada proceeds to call Boruto Stupid Boruto, which is a nice callback to their Ninja Academy days. The chapter ends as Boruto declares he's home now. Despite the dark tone at the beginning of the chapter, we conclude on a more hopeful note as two friends reunite and figure out a way to solve the problems around them together.